Hi everyone. I had some requests for a longer version of this video because I had done originally a time lapse, and part of this video is kind of a time lapse, but that's because I had recorded it in time lapse, so I did try to slow it down. I had it at 0.3 speed. Anything other than that looked not normal, so I have it at 0.3, and some of it is just a little bit looks fast, but I did my best to make sure that most of the video is slow enough for you to kind of watch and use as a tutorial if you want to learn how to make this. So I had to redo the recording for this video because I had realized that a lot of the voiceover didn't line up with the video and it wasn't making a ton of sense. So I'm going to do my very best to explain this to you guys. The instructions on the back I probably won't be able to read because I don't have the paper in front of me anymore, but the kit comes with some white felt, some purple felt, some pink felt, some blue felt, some yellow felt, and some black felt. And just make sure you separate these as best as you can, because I think I actually had ended up with like a little bit of the pink felt with my white felt, and so the head of my unicorn ended up a little bit pink, which isn't like the worst thing in the world to me, but if that matters to you, just make sure that you separate it as best you can. The instructions say take a little amount of felt, place it on top of a foam pad to make the shape of the animal by using the needle to stab it to make shape. The more you stab, the tighter the fiber will lock and the firmer the felt will become. The body, face, and tail can also be made separately. They can be assembled later. On the animal body, add animal textures, hair, wool for decoration. Repeat the action of stabbing it tightly with a needle until completely form like the photo on the packaging. Lastly, insert the plastic eyes to the wool to create the animal eyes. Follow the steps mentioned above, and the vivid and cute wool felt animals will come alive before your eyes. I was confused at first because mine didn't come with plastic eyes, but then I realized the other wool craft kits had plastic eyes, so I'm thinking that these instructions were the same for every kit, even if they didn't have them. I've only done one other felting project before, so I kind of improvised. So your kit should come with a little white foam block, and then the needle is just in the middle of it, so you can pull that out. Just be very careful because it is very sharp. It does have a little kind of hook on the end, so it helps you kind of grasp it to get it out of there, but it is very sharp, so just be very careful as you're using it. So here I am just making sure that all of my felt pieces are divided in their colors, and then I just put all the other colors aside, and then I am going to start with the white. And the white is going to be for like the whole main body of the unicorn, and so that is why we have the most white. So I took the white felt and folded it over a few times to form the body, and then once I had it kind of shaped how I wanted it, I used my needle to poke it to felt it down into the shape that I want it to be. So you can use your little foam board for that. That'll help protect your table surface, and also it's just safer because you don't have to try and like poke it in the air or anything like that. And if you guys have other craft kits like this, like felting kits, sometimes they come with a bigger piece of foam. So if you have any other ones, check them and see, because a bigger piece will be easier to work on, and once you're when you're doing bigger pieces, it just is easier on a bigger surface. So I'm just working on felting the body, which is basically just poking at it and kind of shaping it down. You can also use your hands to kind of squeeze it in to shape it how you want it. Your hands are a really good tool for that. And then if you guys have seen other craft kits before, some of them, sometimes the felt ones, I believe, come with like 3 prongs. I think I've had one before with 3 or 4 prongs on it, of the like little needles together, like in a little handle. And that I think helps like the felting go a lot faster. But this kit just came with the one, so that is what I'm using, and that's totally fine. The one works good as well if you don't have like more than one. So here I am just forming the head. I have divided a smaller piece of felt, and I am just felting that down a little bit, and then that will go on. Well, I'll add like a little bit of a neck and then felt that onto the body. And so the head is kind of just a lot smaller version of the body. It's also kind of an oval shape. And then you'll notice when I do the legs are more of like a longer oval. So you can do them any shape you want. You really don't have to do the same as the package, but it's just for like kind of a reference if you want to use it. So I do like the sides of the shape and then the top, and I just want to make sure I get kind of everywhere because I want to try and pack down as much as I can. The one other felt project I've done before, the head was a little floppy, so it's still on there, it's just not super firm. And that was, I think, my first felting project. And then I have done another one recently, like through a library program, like quite a while back. And it was an owl, and it was a lot better. It was smaller, and a lot firmer. Just make sure if you're doing anything with the head that you get it felted onto the body quite securely, because it can be wobbly and not as firm if you don't. And likely if you're making a felt project, you want it to last a long time. So here I'm just comparing it to the body, seeing how it looks, and I think I ended up adding like a little neck to it. And obviously your unicorn is going to be probably slightly different in size, like they're not going to be super like the same. And so you can compare the shapes to your body. If you start off with the biggest shape, that helps when you're forming the rest of your unicorn, that you have enough of everything else. Because if you start with the biggest shape first, then you know that you'll have enough for the rest of your unicorn. And you can also divide out your felt into even sizes for like the feet, and then the ears and the hair and the tail and the little horn, just to make sure you have enough. I believe I ended up with a little extra, so I ended up wrapping it around and adding it to my felted body and head. But if you don't end up with extra, or if this is your first time doing felting, I'd recommend like dividing your pieces up, because you might end up with not enough felt if you end up taking too much. So these are the feet. I am felting the feet. They're longer than the head. So the head's more of like oval shape, I guess. Like they're kind of like rectangular prisms almost. That's what they look like right now. But they're kind of more of like a shorter oval. And then like the legs are like a longer oval. That's how I did them. And you can definitely do them however you'd like. So I know this video is quite long, and so I don't know how long and detailed people wanted me to be with this, because really you're just felting down each piece until you get it into the shape you want. And if it doesn't feel firm enough, then you just need to keep going in with the needle. And I believe this did take me at least an hour. It could have been longer. I can't fully remember because this was a while back now. But I hope this answers your questions about how to do this. And if you have any other questions, please just put them down below in the comments, and I will answer them as promptly as I can. So here is the last leg, and I have done 4 of them. I tried to make them as even as possible, and if you end up with one that's like bigger than the others and already slightly felted, you can try and felt them a little more than the others to make them more smaller. Or if your feet are too small, you can add a bit of felt to them. I think this is where I ended up poking myself. There was a few times during the video that I stopped and looked at my finger, and that's where I had poked my finger. So yes, I poked myself, so please be very careful as you are felting your project. So here I am grabbing the felt for the ears, and I had realized that it was way too big, so I divided it and made it smaller, and then I'm just folding it over a few times. So now I'm just using the tool and felting it down. On one end, I felted a little bit more to make it smaller on one side, and then the base I just felted kind of at an angle and on top to try and make more of a base. And your animal that you make will probably be slightly different in size, so just compare it to your body of your felted animal to make sure it is proportionate to the rest of the body. So that I just repeat that with the other one. And if they end up different sizes, you can always add a bit more felt to your project, but it would be harder to take it away after you felt it. So just make sure that you grab a bit less if you're unsure. So here I believe I had felted a little bit too much on one side, so I added a bit more to make it the shape that I wanted it, and that's something you can do if you don't like the shape, or you just need your felt project to be a little bit bigger. So I wasn't originally sure how much felt to use for the body, so I did end up adding a bit more and wrapping it around. If it's too lumpy in one spot, you can also try and spread out the felt a little bit, as you can see I'm trying to do here. Here I just added a bit more felt to the head. And then I just shape the felt with my hands to make the shape of the head, where it kind of dips down, and then add the little part of the neck. So now with my needle, I am just pushing the neck kind of into the body, and I'm making sure that I go all the way around, pushing it down, make sure that it felt securely, otherwise you will end up with a wobbly head. So if you don't like how some parts might look a little bit bumpy, you can keep felting it until you are satisfied with the way it looks. Sorry about this part, guys. This is the part I did try to slow down, but this was in time-lapse mode already, so I slowed it down to 0.3 and it was still really fast. But basically the ears, I just felted on to the sides of the head, then I felted the feet on each side of the body, just kind of put them on the body and then felted it down. And then for the horn, I kind of made like a little point and then wrapped some colored felt around it, and then felted that and put it on, kind of like I did with the neck, pushing it down. And then with the tail, I kind of did the same thing. So I had a little white piece that I felted, and then I put some color around it to felt both the top of the head and the tail colors. And so I hope this makes sense. I'm sorry this part was super fast. I literally tried to slow it down, and I don't have another one to be able to remake this video. So once I had everything secured, except for the eyes, I went ahead and just kind of made sure everything was felted and secured and shaped how I wanted it. And then I think I ended up adding a little bit more to the tail. And then for the eyes, I took a very tiny bit of black, and I was going to try and make like the kind of eyes with the eyelashes, but that was kind of hard, so I ended up just doing like some little eyes, making them kind of small and then poking them in. You can try the fine eye, but it was a little bit hard. You'd probably need a very fine piece, so I just did like kind of like a little dot basically. And then for the little body, you'll see that I added if you guys know, like My Little Pony, the little cutie mark, I decided to add a little heart. So I have a little black outline and then yellow in the middle. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. See you next time. Bye.